How you doing? This is Nelson Rhodes coming to you again for Proverbs for your weekend, and we're working Proverbs 23, verse 12. We're starting out, and it says, "Pay attention, close attention, to the teachings that corrects you, and open your heart to every word of instruction." And it says, "Don't withhold appropriate discipline from your child. Go ahead and punish him when he needs it. Don't worry, it won't kill him." And verse 14, a good spanking could be the very thing that teaches him a lifelong lesson. And verse 15 says, "My beloved child, when your heart is full of wisdom, my heart is full of gladness." And this is verse 16, "And when you speak anointed words, when we are speaking mouth to mouth." But this is verse 17, "Don't allow the actions of evil men to cause you to burn with anger. Instead, burn with unrelentingly passion as you worship God in holy awe." And this is verse 18. It says that your future is bright and filled with a loving hope that you will never fade away. Now these are good words. And these are the things the Lord is saying today. And that's the thing, pay close attention to the teachings that corrects you. And I tell you, I could tell you things when I came back into the church. Yeah, the Lord sent people. And you're going to find correction came. Because even though I was a baby Christian coming in, but the Lord was correcting me right there and then. And this is where I had to learn to get into the line of where I lived for all those years, where you're speaking rebellion, and rebellion. I talked about this before, about running from the church as a very young child. Numerous times through the years what took place, but I tell you, he's even back in 1975, I was 13 years old. I went into the church and gave myself to the Lord. But it did not last long. I left the church. Then it wasn't until years later in high school, I was a sophomore back in 1980. No, I was a junior. And the preacher's son was up in front of me in class. We started talking and finding out, he's a cool dude. I'll hang out with him. Well, I ended up going back to church. And again, I was only there for such a short time. I ran once more. It's not good to run from the Lord. I mean, he puts people in your way to get you back in. And the thing is, what would have happened back then, if I stayed in church all that time? And where would I be now? But the thing is, that's what happens when you allow rebellion in your life. And the Lord, I was 30 years old. I was passed out on my parents' on the couch, and the Lord Himself came after me. He woke me up, and He stood there in front of me. I called it his shepherd's robe. You can see Him in all His glory standing there. But you can see where His gown only went down to his knees, but I saw His sandals. And you can see it wasn't long sleeves, but the sleeves went down to his elbows. That full face, it wasn't really thin. Nice sized beard, long hair. But you can see, man, he is very well built. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger had nothing on Jesus when it comes to muscle bound. It looked like Jesus could pick you up by your face and toss you off to the side. That's how big he is. And the thing is, you know, he's an awesome God. He came after the one. He left the 99. And this is the loving Father, his mighty Son, the plans he has for us to get us into a place where we need to be to live in victory. But I tell you, the more and more we surrender all, and he wants us to surrender all today, and he wants us to have a place with him for eternity. I've been to heaven numerous times. I've seen the heavens. I saw different places. Been to the Holy of Holies twice. But you're going to see a glimpse what it's like in his glory. You just got to surrender all. Be sold out. Totally sold out to him. The world got nothing. Because I tell you, it brings nothing but lies, deceit, adultery, idolatry. Sin after sin after sin after sin. Because I tell you, Jesus is the way, he is the truth, and he is the life. You will never have a better life than to be with Jesus himself and the Father and the Holy Spirit. And knowing, you know, what the true love is really about. For those who didn't grow up with that kind of love in your family line. And they said back then they called it discipline, but to beat you around, you know, like they did. But back then your neighbors were allowed to correct you as well. Then sent you home. Then you got it again. But you're going to soon see a glimpse of the heavenlies, what it's like. You ask the Lord to show you a greater parts of him and what it's like to see what is standing there in front of the throne room, seeing Lord himself in his glory shining. But you're going to see colors that you've never seen before. And you're going to see landscaping that, like, it's amazing. Animals. I saw animals. I mean, I saw different, you know, the horses. I saw some bears. Because Lord knows I love these things. But also seen some close friends of mine as well. Seeing where my father lived. And you're going to see a very new you. Because I tell you, when the glory hits, it takes out all the foulness. Every piece of darkness that tried to hide, it's no longer there. It's no longer there, because I'll tell you, when you stand in his glory, darkness cannot hide. It just goes. The enemy, it cannot stand. So today is the day to move much higher again. He wants to show you a closer glimpse of heaven and what to do with it when you see it.